Hello and welcome. Let's talk history again today. This is the third video in our U.S. history studies for this year, 5th grade. If you're new here, my name is Joanna. I'm a homeschool mom to a 10-year-old 5th grader, and this year for social studies or history, we are doing U.S. history. Our curriculum is Oak Meadow. You're using Oak Meadow. For 5th grade, we've always used Oak Meadow. It's just our curriculum of choice. So this year is U.S. history. I did do 2 videos prior to this one showing from the Americas before Columbus through the Salem witch trials. And now I will be doing from missions, French and Indian War, and through the first half of the American Revolution. So if you're returning, thanks so much for coming back to see what else we've used for U.S. history. If it's your first time here, welcome. So glad to have you. Okay, so before I even get into that, I'm going to share what I shared in the other videos real quick in case you haven't seen them. Some of the materials that we've been using along with U.S. history. First one is this Atlas of American History. So you can see America, you can see the changes within. So here you've got like 1790 to 1870, the nation expands and changes, and then you would get like a map on that stuff. So we've been using this one. 500 Facts, American History for Kids, Exploration, Battles, Tragedies, and Triumphs from Native Nations to the USA. And the Usborne Encyclopedia of World History. Okay, so those are the ones we've been using. And since we've entered the colonial era, we've been using Explore Colonial America and Great Colonial America Projects You Can Build Yourself. And both those last 2 books are from Nomad Press. So my son really enjoyed this one this year. And I have a few things tabbed off here that we'll be doing. Or that some of them we did. Yes. So he enjoyed reading from this one, but this one also has some really cool projects, but there was also some good activities in this one as well. So those 2, since we started the colonial period, we've been using these. All right, before I even, again, something else, before I get into this, I'm going to share a couple of the books that I got that we did not end up using, not because we didn't like them, just we couldn't get to them, or it was too much, and we're going to save it for our next trip around U.S. history. First one is History Smashers, The American Revolution by Kate Messner. It has a bookmark because it's actually on a section we did use, but we only used one section of this book. We did the, you know, some people who were part of the American Revolution in there, but I have it saved for next time. We did not do Who Was George Washington, but this will be on my shelf and he can read this at his leisure if he'd like. I pulled this out. This is a book we have read in the past. It's very young, but I pulled it out just in case he wanted to, and he didn't use it, so it's still here. Revolutionary War on Wednesday. This is the Magic Tree House. Very young. This is for like 2nd grade, but I pulled it out. Another one was Come All You Brave Soldiers, Blacks in the Revolutionary War, Clinton Cox. This was a pretty big one, and we used a different book, so we did not get to this one, so maybe in the future we will. Guts and Glory, The American Revolution. Now, this thing is big. I mean, yeah, it's a big one. So we did not get to use it, and I actually think this will be great the next time we come around to the American Revolution. Another one, King George, What Was His Problem? The Whole Hilarious Story of the American Revolution. And I got this one because it's, you know, supposed to be funny, but we just didn't get to it. And my son has, he tends to like things that have humor in them. So I did, and I actually got the next one, Which Way to the Wild West. So we'll see if we use that one. But we have both just in case. He didn't, but I feel like this is something he might read on his own, or when we return to U.S. history, he might read it then. Another one we didn't use was The Thrifty Guide to American Revolution, a handbook for time travelers. We did not use this one. We didn't even crack it open, in all honesty, so I have no reviews on this. American Revolution Heroes for Kids, 51 inspiring people and their stories. Teach kids about the 4th of July and the journey to independence, people and events in history. We did not use this one. I don't know what I was hoping for, but it wasn't this. It's just kind of a black and white with just like a 2-page spread on each person, which I usually like. I just had hoped it had been in color, but it's okay. It's not bad. I might have him when he's older and we do U.S. history again, use this to help him write about some of the people who were in the American Revolution. Another one we didn't use was this American Revolution. This is like one of those benchmark education books. We just didn't use it. No particular reason. And then I got the Constitution Decoded, a guide to the document that shapes our nation. And I actually like this book. It's pretty good. But we didn't use it because we got a different Constitution book, and which is like for a younger crowd. So he enjoyed that one. And I think that this one we'll just use next time we discuss the Constitution or we want to go more in depth. But this is a good one. And The Crossing, How George Washington Saved the American Revolution. We did not get to this one either. There's so many books. We just could not read them all. And I still wanted Jam to have his leisurely reading. Okay, I'm going to move on before like this video is like 100 minutes. Something I did forget to share last time. You're going to see what we've been studying right now on this board. But we have a erasable, like dry erase map. This is the United States on here right now. And the back has the world. I don't know if you can see it because of the light in here. So we would do, first we did like the 13 colonies. We did when we were doing the explorers, where the explorers went, and so on. So this is something that we've been using the whole time, and it's a lot of fun to have. He also, for Oak Meadow, they had him draw kind of the shape of North America on this thing. And as we've been learning, he's been adding on to it. You can see he has a list of some that he's missed, and he hasn't gotten to them all. But yeah, again, you can tell where we're at in our history right now. Oh, we should be wrapping up the Lewis and Clark expedition this week, actually. So this is the poster that he's been working on. And I actually really enjoy this because as we read or learn about a specific place, we just add it on, or we add it to our list knowing we want to add it on to our map. So that's been a lot of fun. The other thing we got was the Beautiful Feet. Is that what it's called? Beautiful Feet Books map. We got the 13 colonies. I don't know. It's huge, huge. He has yet to label it because he's not sure how he wants to label it. But then on the other side, it does have the U.S., but we're not using that portion. He only wanted to do the 13 colonies. And now let me start showing you what we did after the Salem witch trials. I think we left off doing the Salem witch trials. We did colonial living, colonial things. So then we began reading, we did colonial trades, and we started reading. They kind of have you start your reading before you get to the lesson. So we started Early Thunder by Jean Fritz. We started this book before we talked about the missions and the French and Indian War, because this will just start getting us ready for the American Revolution and what's to come. So Jim really enjoyed this book, Early Thunder. It's about a boy, I forgot his name now, let's see, Daniel West, I need him here with me, who lives in Salem, I believe he lived. And he's torn, is he a Tory, is he a Whig? And you really start to see how people choose sides or chose the side they were on, and what things led or were leading to this revolution. So this was what we started. Then Oak Meadow had us move on to Spanish missions and the French and Indian War. And it had us look up a bit more on the missions, and we read Struggle for a Continent, the French and Indian War, 1689 through 1763. This was a pretty good book. This is from the American Story series. I like the illustrations in this one and the information. So we used this. And if you watch my other videos, you'll also know that I use History Unboxed quite often, and they do have a missions box and a French and Indian box, and we did not get those two. So I cannot tell you anything on those, but they look great. And then, so after the French and Indian Wars, look guys, I'm actually organized for this video today, so I'm not just flipping like, did I do it? I'm getting a little bit more organized each video. So after that, we're going to move on to taxation without representation, because this is kind of what happens after the French and Indian War. And let's see. Yeah, we discussed the end of the French and Indian War, taxation without representation, and the Boston Tea Party. So for those, we read what was in our curriculum. Usually, so this is written to the student. So the writing in here, he reads and he'll tell me about it, and he'll pick the assignments he's going to do. So then we read what was the Boston Tea Party. And you'll see a lot of these Who HQ books in here. Let's see if I can open it. So there was that. The Boston Tea Party by Russell Friedman. And then we did a tea with our, we did get the American Revolution History Unboxed, and they had a tea bag in there, and we enjoyed that tea for talking about the Boston Tea Party. So once we hit this part, we started using this. Very enjoyable. And it comes, of course, which is a coloring page, and it's on the Boston Tea Party. My son does not like coloring, but he loves reading these. He likes anything comic book style. So we had that as well. And like I said, it came with a tea bag, and we drank the tea. And then from there, we moved on. A Revolution is Born is what the reading was, and they talked about the Declaration of Independence. So this is when I started bringing in more books. Jan started reading Five Smooth Stones, Hope's Diary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1776. This is from the Dear America series. He really enjoyed this series, and I have to pretty much get the rest because he really likes these. And this one was nice because it wasn't that long. It was nice and short. We read What is the Declaration of Independence? Like I said, you're going to see a lot of these Who HQ books in here because they're just short and easy to get through. Especially because I'm trying to get so many of these picture books in, because yes, I think we'll use them when he's older, but not as much. So I'm trying to cram in all these picture books. He read Most Wanted, The Revolutionary Partnership of John Hancock and Samuel Adams by Sarah Jane Marsh. I think he really enjoyed this one. Then I'm just trying to find a place to put things down. Then we talked about the Declaration of Independence. We went to the National Archives in DC, and we picked up like a copy of the Declaration of Independence, and we had this hung up. And as we learned then later on about like the Constitution, we had also purchased a copy at the National Archives and hung it up and so on. So we have our little copy. He absolutely loves, he constantly was like, read the Declaration of Independence. I was like, how many times can you read that? We used the Declaration of Independence, The Words That Made America, illustrated and inscribed by Sam Fink. Now, he liked this picture because this book because of the pictures, because they constantly were like, when, now, how? Good words. It's now or never. So he really enjoyed this. But I liked this one better, which was the side-by-side Declaration of Independence with side-by-side plain English translations. So I like that, and it has a how to use the book, and I really like this one because then you had your what it says and then plain English, and then it had other things written around it. So I really like this one. If I had to choose between the two, I'm going to go with this one. We also did Understanding the Declaration of Independence, and this was a nice book. We read Mumbit's Declaration of Independence by Gretchen Wuffel. And this was a really good book. Jam really loved this one. And it's about Mumbet and how she will take them to court because she was enslaved in Massachusetts to become free. So it's a very good book. It came bent when it came, but I never returned it. We read Her Name Was Mary Catherine, the Only Woman Whose Name is on the Declaration of Independence by Ella Schwartz. Another one we really enjoyed. Jam read John, Paul, George, and Ben by Lane Smith. He loved this book. I think he's read it like 3 times now. So it talks about John Hancock, Paul Revere, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington in here. And so look at this. So you can tell he was loving this book, loving it. Oh, and you know what else? I'm so sorry. He was also using or it's been using, I can't remember for which ones, but there's a show for the Who Was series of books. There's a show and he was trying to find the ones that went with what we were learning. So, oh, I'm sorry. There's one more book. Then he read Those Rebels, John and Tom by Barbara Curley. So these are nice because they're just short picture books. Some I read with him, some I didn't. He has a hard time doing schoolwork or reading in the car because he gets motion sickness, but a quick picture book is not too difficult for him. Okay, so he read those, and we started Laurie House Anderson's Chains. So we read this. This was, we went through this pretty slowly. And so we kind of started it in the beginning from when we started A Revolution is Born in Oak Meadow, because this does have a lot of difficult topics and so on, and the treatment of the enslaved people in, she was in New York during the time. But it does start in 1776 and ends in 1777, and we are hoping to read the next 2 in the series, which are Forge and Ashes. We really enjoyed this. It's really moving and a really good insight into a different perspective of this time period in America. So then so that was what they had us do. Then we moved on to Paul Revere. Oh, I did forget one book. Okay. Strong Voices, 15 American Speeches Worth Knowing is something we pulled out, and we read the Patrick Henry, right? Yes, the Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, which was another one that Jam really took to. He really, really loved this speech. He wrote his own little speech somewhere. He has this, let me see if I can find it. I'm not sure where I put it. But he wrote a little speech as well. Super cute. And I also then brought out The American Revolution for Kids, A History with 21 Activities. And you can see I really like these books. I've got a whole collection. So we whipped this one out as well. And then we moved on to Paul Revere. And so then we brought back out our History Unboxed. And it had, let's see if I can find it, Paul Revere on here. And actually the craft that came in here coordinated with the craft in Oak Meadow, which was to make a tin lantern. And he wrote, Give Me Liberty is what he punched out. I don't even know if you can give me liberty. And it has a little candle in there. Super cute. That was a lot of fun. So we did that. I'm trying to see what else. He had some, he wrote a part of Patrick Henry's speech. And I'm trying to see if there was something else he had after that. He wrote that he was responsible for the Boston Tea Party. I told the Sons of Liberty, go tell everyone you know. Dress up as Mohawks, go on the 3 ships, hack open the boxes of tea, and throw it overboard. We threw that tea overboard because King George was giving us taxes, and we had no representation. This was later called the Boston Tea Party. So I didn't finish reading all of it, but that was what he wrote. So super cute. He really enjoyed that. So let me see. I think that was it for that. Yes, then he moved on to Benjamin Franklin in there. So he wrote that. And then we started I don't have the book with me, but the History Pockets from Evan Moore. And we started the American Revolution one. I'm just going to show you what it has inside. It's a pocket like this. And he filled out all the little items that are in there. There's a timeline, choosing sides, yeah. An introduction to American Revolution fast facts about the American Revolution, and then a map of the 13 colonies. So he made that. Did quite a lot, didn't we? So then we talked about Lexington and Concord, which oh, there's his little speech he had. So cute. I'll pull that out in a minute. He made a little speech. The Boston Tea Party was not enough. We must do more. But I say freedom for us all, no matter how long it takes, we will have freedom. And then, you know, it just keeps going and whatnot. Super cute, his little speech. He wants to type it up and put it on something. So that's why it's still like this. And then we read Paul Revere's Ride. And Let It Begin Here, Lexington and Concord, First Battles of the American Revolution by Dennis Brindle Frayden. And I just want you guys to know, I bought most of these books used. This was $1.90 or 99 cents, you know. So don't think, some I had, some I bought used, some I bought new. So that was where we were. Then we moved on to Winning the Revolution, George Washington, Valley Forge, and Yorktown. So we read about George Washington in our History Unboxed. We also, I forgot to say earlier, it came with a quill and ink. I didn't bring his paper he wrote, but he had a quill and some ink. We also made some quills, but that was later on in Oak Meadow to go with our crafting. So, like I said, we did the History Unboxed. We did Winning the Revolution. During this one, I was reading with him 1776, and you look at Revolutionary Williamsburg. And I just like these National Geographic books, so this was a nice one. And this kind of talked about everyone. So here it has Virginia's Indians, Virginia's Declaration of Rights, and some other, Bringing the Past to Life. I'm trying to see. It was really a good one. We enjoyed it. I don't know. I just like these National Geographic books. And then we started playing Professor Noggin, American Revolution. We got out and we read these like slowly, not every day. Yankee Doodle America, 1776. And I really like this because this was like those signs on for each letter. And we went through each one and, you know, be like, oh, I know what that is. Or, oh, that's new to me. So here, oh, it's for Old North Church. Which went with Paul Revere. So we did that book, and we did The American Revolution, a hands-on history book. And he really likes this one. And we just did it according to whatever we're learning about. Lexington and Concord, Battles of 1776. And we really enjoyed that. I'm trying to make sure I didn't leave any books out. No. And then from there, we moved on to After the War, Constitutional Convention, the Bill of Rights, George and Martha, Abigail Adams, and women. So I'm going to leave it at that point, and then I'll bring the books that we read in the next video. So this video is not forever long, 3 hours. But that's what we did for the first good, I guess, almost 3/4 of the American Revolution. We had a really good time just deep diving. As I said, he watched the Who Was show on whoever kind of corresponded with what we were learning about. We read all these books and we did these activities. And we've really had a good time, and I'm excited to share the other books we read. The Women in History, The Women in the Revolution, African Americans in the Revolution, Natives in the Revolution, The End, the Constitution, and then moving on to Expanding Westward. All right, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope that some of these resources might help you with your U.S. history this year or next year or in the coming years, whichever. These are the things we have enjoyed. If there's something we used and we didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't bring it. And I did share the things we didn't get to, so I have no idea if we'll enjoy those or not. But this is what we've done so far, and we will continue with our mapping, our history unboxed, and all the little fun activities we love doing with history. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I hope you come for part 4 of US history when we get that video done. Bye.